Hi everybody, this is Kefren, your favorite French Canadian. Today I'm going to show you how to boost your FPS in Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. We're going to start by optimizing Windows. After that, we're going to look at your NVIDIA parameter. I'm going to show you how to unlock your FPS in the game. And at the end, we're going to look at all the settings inside of the game. So now for Windows, we're going to start by writing settings. And we're going to go to the settings of Windows 11. We're gonna start by gaming over there. So the first one is game bar. This one I really recommend to deactivate it. It's causing issue and also you're losing some FPS with it. Except if you have a Ryzen CPU, the 7900X3D or the 7950X3D, they're using the game bar to prioritize your CCD when you're playing video games. So super important to use that if you have those processors. If you have any other processor, just deactivate it. After that, we're going to go to graphic. We're going to change default graphic setting over there. Make sure that your hardware accelerated GPU scheduling is at on. Super important to do that. We're going to go to gaming again, capture, make sure that everything is deactivated like this. So you want to save all your resources. And the last one is game mode. Now game mode honestly is really, really good. Back then with Windows 10, it was a bit sketchy and a lot of like stuttering issue, but now you really need to using it to make sure that all your resources are prioritizing your video games. Another thing that I recommend, we're going to go to system, is your power. Back then, we were recommending to use the best performance, but now, honestly, just use balance. You will have better boost clock, longer boost clock. I did a couple of benchmark, balance versus best performance, and honestly, I'm getting better result with balance. So super important to do that. Another thing I want to mention is some recommendations. So make sure that your XMP profile is activated if you have it on your BIOS. Super important. Make sure that you download the latest chipset driver for your CPU if you have an AMD or Intel. Also, make sure that you update your BIOS to make sure that you have all the latest update from your CPU or your motherboard provider. Make sure that you have your Windows update up to date. And the last one is also make sure that you have the latest driver from your GPU. So if you have an NVIDIA card, Radeon, or Intel, super important. They always push new update and they optimize a lot of stuff in it. So now let's go to the NVIDIA app. The first thing that I want to recommend, I'm not a huge fan, honestly, of the overlay. So NVIDIA overlay, I really recommend to deactivate this one. Sometimes it's causing issue like stuttering, you're losing some FPS with it. So I really recommend to deactivate it. Also, we're gonna go to the control panel. I'm gonna show you some optimization that you can do. So we're gonna go to the manage 3D setting first. So the first thing that you should definitely activate it is your low latency mode. Make sure this one is at on. Another thing that I recommend is your power management mode. This one, pretty much the same thing than the one from Windows. Make sure that you're using normal. Don't use the maximum performance. I'm getting also better boost clock, more FPS with it. And the last one is your shader cache size. By default, your cache will be driver default like this. And normally it's 4 gig. I recommend to start with 10 if you don't have a lot of space on your computer. And if you have a lot of space, go with 100 gig. Honestly, it's a game changer for your cache size. You're going to struggle less with stuttering and also that your game need to recompile and stuff like that. If you install a lot of game, this one can be very good for you. Now let's go to change resolution. The last one, really important to make sure that first of all that you're selecting the monitor, that first of all you're using the native resolution of your monitor, and also super important to have a proper refresh rate over there. By default, sometimes when you just change your monitor, it will be at 60 Hertz. So depending on the type of monitor that you buy, 144, 240, make sure that you're selecting this one. This option also, you can change it on Windows or your Radeon driver if you have a Radeon card, so no problem with that. The last one is your G-Sync. If you want to activate your G-Sync, really important to select the monitor. It needs to be compatible and you will enable over there. I'm not using G-Sync me. I always unlock my FPS because I want the lowest input lag. But if you don't like those steering line, definitely activate your G-Sync over there. So now let's go back to the game. So now to unlock your FPS, so you need to go on your drive that you install Windows, user, the name of your computer, app data. This one should be normally hidden, so make sure that you see your hidden file. Local Sparking 0, save, config, and Windows, we're gonna open the engine file like this, and we're gonna add this comment under all the comment that you can see over there. I'm gonna post this comment in my video description. You just copy paste it. In my case, I unlock my FPS at 240 because I have a 240 Hertz monitor screen. So this is pretty much it. Just copy paste it. If you want 144, just put 144 everywhere. The only thing that I want to mention, not too sure what it's gonna cause online, so maybe you can get banned with this, so don't be too crazy. If you just want to make the single player and when you're battling versus the computer, you can easily do it. It's working very well. I'm not too sure what is the consequence online for this. So now let's go inside of the game. So now inside of the game, so window mode, you have to play borderless. You don't have a lot of option over there. You have window and borderless. Resolution, make sure that you're playing native. In my case, it's 1440p, so no issue over there. Resolution scale, play at 100. If you go lower than that, the game looks very blurry. And if you upscale, you're going to lose a lot of FPS. You don't have any DLSS and FSR available in this game. VSync, I deactivate this option to have the lowest input lag and unlock my FPS. You can still use FreeSync or G-Sync if it's available to you. Anti-aliasing quality, this one is a bit tricky. I feel like at high, the game looks very blurry. If I compare high to off, you can expect a nice 7% boost in your FPS. I always play my game at off, honestly, with anti-aliasing, but if you feel that it's too much for you, go with low with this one. Shadow quality, you have a couple of options. High to off, you can expect 15% boost. This is pretty much the best parameter to change inside of the game. The thing is, it really depends on your goal. Do you need like high FPS, you're struggling right now, or you're just struggling to have your 60 FPS? If you're struggling to have your 60 FPS, go with off. If you don't, honestly, go with low or even medium because the game looks very flat without shadow. So if you want a decent image quality, go a little bit higher with this one. Texture quality, if you have 6 gig at VRAM and more, go with high, 4 gig medium, and less than 4 gig, go with low. Post-processing quality, this one I recommend to go with low. Better visibility, less blurriness, and you're going to gain a nice 4% boost in your FPS. Effect quality, this one is huge when you're fighting. I recommend to go with low, a nice 5% boost, and also you're going to stabilize a lot your FPS. Depth of field, go with off, better visibility. LOD quality, this one can tank a little bit your FPS, so if you compare high to medium, it's 3%, and medium to low, another 3%, so it really depends where you are right now in my guide. If you're struggling with your FPS, go with low. If you don't, go with medium. Grass quality, this one is not huge, honestly. It's like 1% for each bracket, so I recommend to stay at high with this one. Motion blur quality, I recommend to go with off, again, for better visibility. Same thing with camera shake, you don't want that. It adds too much noise when you're playing the game, so I don't recommend this one. And the last one is destruction effect quality. This one will tank your FPS like crazy, so you just have two options. You have high and low. My recommendation is go with low. It's gonna help a lot for your FPS. So this is pretty much it, guys, for my Dragon Ball Sparking 0 guide. If you have any question, just comment in the YouTube section. Post me your rig, CPU, GPU, and RAM with your question. I will try to help you the best that I can. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Peace.